Well, let's talk about your business plan right now because I have an example that I put together, a 12 question plan. And we can just look at the 12 questions and take some fear out of it so you can make sure everything is kind of dialed in your mind.
Okay.
And then we can move on to all the technicalities of the LLC. It's not as bad as you think. Dude, it sounds like you got some exciting stuff going on, man. You're in an interesting industry.
Yeah. COVID actually opened the industry for me, so I can't complain too much.
Tell me a little bit about it. I would love to hear about what you do.
Went to school for social work,
Okay.
Tuskegee University, University of Illinois. Obviously, it's a field that you got to kind of dig your way out of in order to kind of get out that debt hole. Um,
Yeah.
Finally got clinical supervision, started private practice, started buying furniture, getting ready to buy, had office space and everything. COVID kind of hit, shut everything down, switched my whole business model because they allowed us to do therapy online now. So
Mhm.
teletherapy kind of opened the door. I started marketing across Illinois. Pretty much, it's just me right now. Private practice is going fairly well. Primary focus is anxiety, depression, PTSD. And I'm at a point now where I'm completely full. I'm doing it part time. I'm still working full time as a therapist for Southern Illinois University.
Okay.
So the goal is to eventually grow into a full time group practice, hire other therapists, and run pretty much from a teletherapy business model across the entire state.
Okay. I love it, dude. I love it. That's a great idea.
So right now, I'm a sole proprietor. First
Okay.
year, I didn't really start to get clients until probably around maybe June, maybe July. I've probably tripled my revenue already in this year just off of
Good for you.
from that. Yeah. So eventually, next year, I want to switch over to an LLC so I can start to hire maybe somebody to help me do some marketing, more marketing for social media, hire other therapists, eventually get not clinical social workers, but the tier under me, which is licensed social workers, so I can give them clinical supervision. So it's a bunch of doors opening up. Even have some opportunities for speaking engagements and continue to grow my practice because I even use like CrossFit and physical fitness as an extension of mental health as well.
Okay, very cool. So, dude, growing industry, easy to target those people, and they can afford your services. That's a great industry to be in right now, man. It's becoming super popular. We're in the age of self care right now, and I love it. I love anything.
Exactly.
Okay, so right now you're working at Southern Illinois University, and you started your side business here recently during the
Mhm.
pandemic. Now that you're doing it online, you've pretty much tripled your customer base like on the side, and you want to transition into it full time this year or next year.
Probably towards the end of next year. I want to get
Okay.
established with the LLC first,
Okay.
kind of get my feet wet.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. So you've been doing everything as a sole proprietor, and all the money you've been earning is going right into your personal bank account as well as your paychecks from the university.
Not the university though. I kept everything separate. So my
Great.
private practice, I had just a personal account, and within probably last month, I just established a business account as well. So I'm going to
Okay.
transition all that over.
Got it. Wonderful. Did you get an EIN against your social to open up the
Yep.
business account? Okay.
Well, I have a separate EIN just for the business.
Okay. Got it.
I had that before I even established the sole proprietor or the DBA.
Oh, wonderful. All right. So you also have a DBA for this business?
Correct.
Okay, great. So you're a sole proprietor set up now with a DBA and a business bank account, but you need an LLC and maybe a few more extra structures to keep you protected and separate everything out. Fine, fine.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So what are the parts right now that are giving you the most trouble?
So I know going into an LLC, well, I have an idea of going into LLC that there's going to be more, more paperwork, more of
Hmm.
everything. I know my business plan that I started with initially is shit, to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
But I've also been kind of terrified to go back and revamp and remodel that because that's the piece that I'm not really confident in. Like I can do therapy, I can talk to people all day, but the business aspect, that's what I'm still learning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about your business plan right now because I have an example that I put together, a 12 question plan. And we can just look at the 12 questions and take some fear out of it so you can make sure everything is kind of dialed in your mind. I'll send you a
Okay.
copy of it too and everything.
Okay.
And then we can move on to all the technicalities of the LLC. It's not as bad as you think.
Okay.
We'll for sure be able to answer all your questions today.
That works.
Because business plan's important, dude. Like I get where you're coming from. Like I totally get where you're coming from. All right, so check this out. This is a
Mhm.
blank template that I put together for a lot of people. And so there's really 12 questions on here that you need to consider and think about for your practice. So let me go through them. What is your identity? What do you do?
Good mental health services focused on anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
Awesome. Okay. And what problem are you solving?
I don't know. I guess the problem would be mental health itself, improving self-care, wellness, well-being, overall quality of life.
The problem, I want you to think of put yourself in the customer's shoes. What is their problem? It's a good way to address the problem. Okay, so what is your solution for those problems?
Let's see, the overall solution for to help
Yeah.
individuals overcome symptoms associated with those things
Okay.
in order to, I guess, have a better overall quality of life.
Okay. And how specifically are you going to help them? Are you going to talk to them on the internet or on Zoom? Are
Hmm.
you going to meet in person? How
Yeah.
specifically?
So in person through teletherapy sessions and also clinical mentoring.
Okay. Who's your target market? But let me reframe that question for you a little bit better. If you could describe the perfect customer for your business right now, Marvin, what would they look like? What would they do? How would they look? Who are they?
I would say the ideal client would be 16 and up. Um, I kind of typically teeter in the geriatric population, but not enough. So would you want me to be specific in that aspect?
Let's narrow it down. We're going to create an avatar of your perfect customer. How old are they?
Say probably about mid 20s, early 30s.
All right. Are they rich, poor, middle of the road?
With private practice, they would have to be middle of the road, at least be able to afford out of pocket pay because I don't accept insurance.
Okay. The way it works with these customers, the more specific that you can get, the more successful you can be. Everybody is not your customer. It's like shooting a shotgun into a hurricane. Think about like where they like to eat, what kind of social media they use. Do they read books? Do they play sports? Can they? Things like that. And the more specific you get, the better.
Okay, okay, that makes
Uh,
sense.
Tell me about your competition. Who competes with you?
Well, there's a few mental health organizations in the area. So honestly, the school that I work for
Okay.
is competition. Memorial Hospital, St. John's Hospital, and there's a few other like independent private practices around the area as well.
Okay. So we can list the competition that we have and then we can study them and learn from them.
Okay.
Revenue streams. How are you going to earn?
Right now, I'm sending out invoices electronically through Square, so it's a private pay practice
Okay. And how do you charge them?
per hour.
Okay. All different types of revenue streams you're going to want to list in order of importance under the revenue streams category.
Okay.
How are you going to market to these people? How are you going to get a hold of them?
Currently, I'm on a couple of therapist directories, Psychology Today, Facebook, Instagram, and those are my primary sources right now.
Okay. So we're going to do social media ads and local ads. Got it?
Mhm.
And so anything that you can think of in terms of marketing activities, you'll want to put down there that's viable for you. And then you can try them out and then figure out what works best for you and focus on the few channels that work really well.
Okay.
All right. Expense wise, what are you thinking? Like expense wise up to this point that you've spent to start this practice?
Honestly, the overhead was fairly low, but collectively with like everything that I've put out for, probably close to $7,000 or $8,000.
Sounds about right. Okay, so we'll put down the cost that you already have there, and then any future cost that will take to get to where you want to be. That's where you're going to want to list this down in the expenses. Kind of gives you a roadmap for how much money to set aside and how much you're going to have to spend in the future to execute.
Okay.
Tell me about the team that runs this company and the roles associated. Now, keep in mind, you can have multiple roles per person.
Okay. So right now, there's me as the owner,
Okay.
therapist. Kind of like I said, right now I'm doing all the marketing, I'm doing all the communication,
Yep.
the reaching out to clients. What else do I have?
Invoicing.
Yeah, invoicing, billing, paying myself, all those things.
Okay, so right now is you're pretty much wearing every single hat. And you want to
Hmm.
get to a point where you can start farming out some of that work to experts with some of the money that you're making.
Correct.
Okay, cool. The reason we write down our team and our key roles, like all the things like marketing manager, web designer, bookkeeper, things like that, so we have a list of all the duties that need to be accomplished to make this business work and run well. And then what you do is once you have money come in, you figure out what you absolutely hate doing and what you're not good at.
Yeah.
And then you find someone who can do it at least 80% as well as you, and you hire them to do it. And you start piecing out all the stuff that you hate or you're not good at until you get to a point where you're only focusing on what you do best and you have a support staff to help you. Milestones, what do you plan on doing with this company? Do you want to build it up and have it just be your baby for the foreseeable future? Do you plan on selling this practice? What do you think?
The goal is this is my nest egg. This is how I retire from the SIU from the school. So
Okay.
eventually want to grow into a private practice, allow this to and keep a small population, continue to grow it.
Okay. In the milestones, I want you to think about ways that you can replace yourself.
Okay.
The ways that you can replace yourself and ways that you can preserve capital. And by preserving capital means investing some of that business money into a retirement account for you. It means you need a personal Roth IRA and your business can set up a SEP IRA for you.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that at all.
Yep. Ownership. Are you sharing this company with anybody else or is it just you, Marvin?
Just me.
Okay, so the company is going to be 100% owned and operated by you until you start to get some more team members in there. Got it? And then exit strategy. Do you plan on getting rid of the company at all ever, or this is going to be yours for the foreseeable future?
For the foreseeable future.
Okay. Let's say you're 62 years old. You're getting tired of doing what you're doing. Would you ever consider selling your business?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Okay. If it's even a remote possibility that you sell in the future, it's important to think about how to get the business into a state of readiness so that someone could take it over without you being the most critical employee.
Okay.
Hey, look at that, dude. We came up with a business plan. But that's really it. So now I have a really good understanding of what you want to accomplish as far as your business goes. Now let's talk about the LLC. Okay? You're in Illinois, right?
Correct.
And you plan on staying in Illinois?
Oh, yeah, for at least for another 15, 20 years.
Okay. And eventually you might open up a physical location too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in that case, it would make the most sense to form your LLC in Illinois. Of course, the obvious answer.
Right, right.
What I would do personally is file an LLC with the Illinois Secretary of State. Now, there's two ways to do it. You can go directly to the state and do it on your own, or you can go use a company. And a company will set it up for you for like $5 to $10 more. So it's really a negligible cost. It's about ease of use. And so if you're the type of guy that wants to do it yourself with the Secretary of State, you can. Or if you're the type of guy who just wants to pay like INC file to give you a nice little package and make sure it's all filled out correctly, you can do that too.
Okay.
But the point is we want to submit articles of organization to Illinois, and they will get your paperwork back and they'll stamp it and they'll say, here you go, Marvin, here's your LLC. Here's your limited liability company. And what you'll do at that point is talk to the county and transfer your DBA to that LLC.
Okay.
You can keep the DBA, you can keep the bank account, you can keep the EIN, and you can just assign it all to that LLC. Super simple transition.
Yeah, that sounds real simple.
Yep. And then that begs the question, okay, now you have an LLC set up. What's different? What do I have to do differently? Because I was confused on this when I first started an LLC. For example, I thought if I left all my money in the business bank account, I wasn't going to have to pay taxes until I took it out before I spent it. And oh my God, was I wrong? So yeah, when you have an LLC, it's an extension of yourself. And so if the LLC makes 100 grand, Marvin makes 100 grand. And so you're going to pay taxes on whatever the LLC makes plus you, all combined, one tax return. And so the way that I like to look at it is an LLC is a separate entity, but it's also an extension of myself. And so it's all about how the money flows. It's all about how the money flows. That's really what it comes down to, not the paperwork that you have in place. And so you probably already know this, but as money comes into your business bank account, you'll spend it on business expenses, office furniture, hiring people, whatever, marketing. But when there's leftover money in there, you can't spend it on personal expenses. That's the one thing we don't want to do. We don't want to spend business money on personal expenses. So we transfer it to our personal account to spend it on personal expenses. And whenever we make a transfer from our business to our personal account, we label it an owner's draw. And so that's how you'll pay yourself. To take money out of the LLC, put it in your personal account to pay rent, things like that.
Gotcha.
And then, keep good records, man. You seem like a really organized dude, though, so I think that's going to help you out a ton, staying organized, keeping everything in a separate spot. And then, eventually you're going to want to, as it starts to grow, one of the first people you're going to want to hire is a bookkeeper.
Yeah, that's on my list of stuff to do because that's the first thing I want to get rid of.
Yeah, 100%, dude. It sucks. I've tried.
I'm great with people, but as soon as you start throwing numbers and a bunch of extra nonsense in that I got to pay attention to, it's rough.
I feel you. The extent of your numbers should be sending people invoices and logging in and looking at your bank.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel you. So that will be one of the first people you want to hire, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I like to get QuickBooks account for my business and then just sync everything up and have my bookkeeper manage it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It's,
I did that with the bank account a few weeks ago. I got the QuickBooks. Been doing everything like electronically by hand, and when I'm able to take off in the next week or so, in between the holiday, I plan on getting everything caught up going into the next year.
great. Great. That's perfect. That's perfect. So right now you're kind of at, I call it level 1, which is the sole proprietor.
Hmm.
And once you get the LLC put in place, it gives you some more protection, but it doesn't change the way that you pay taxes. You still pay the same amount of taxes, really. And that's level 2. More protection, same amount of taxes. Now, there's a level 3 that I want you to start thinking about. And we get to level 3 by just making more money, really. And
Hmm.
once we have 50 grand or more in profit for the year, then it makes sense for us to upgrade our LLC and turn it into an S-Corp.
Okay.
And that's going to be the third level we're going to get to.
Okay.
Turning an LLC into S-Corp doesn't change too much. It really just changes the way you pay taxes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so, the government's like, you want some tax breaks? You can be an S-Corp, but you got to follow our rules. You got to
Right.
put yourself on payroll and take distributions now and file a different tax return. And so you're like, okay, I can do that. And it saves you a ton of money.
Yeah,
So
I've been watching some of those videos.
yeah, no doubt. So when you get to that level, there's a couple ways you can go about it. Like I said, once again, you can do it all on your own, form your own S corp, manage everything on your own, or there's services out there that you can pay to do it for you.
Hmm.
I work closely with a group called Collective, and they manage your bookkeeping, your payroll, your tax prep, your taxes, and they handle it all for you. They form your S corp for you, and they just manage the financial back end for
Hmm.
like $200-300 a month. It's a pretty good deal.
Okay.
So when you're ready, and if you need some referrals, I'd be happy to give them to you. But they're really good people, and they're perfect for people like you who are a solopreneur, business of one at the moment,
Hmm.
and eventually want to hire more people. So totally doable.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunities that I have going into the next year. I really appreciate this. Taking time
Yeah,
to
man.
at least kind of point me in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I hope I didn't confuse you by explaining all that stuff. But I had a
No,
feeling that's kind of what you were after. Like, what's the path?
right.
Like, yeah, what path do I get on, and how do I make sure I don't screw it up?
Yeah, yeah. I don't have anybody other than reading books to really draw a lot of business experience and stuff from. I
Yeah,
mean, I talked to a couple of people, but at the end of the day, it's all about you getting your feet wet and trying to figure it out.
no doubt, no doubt, absolutely, absolutely. So, what do you think it's going to take for you to transition out of your full time job now into this your own thing?
Um, Probably a full caseload. Like if I, but and the only thing that's probably stopping me now is insurance, which is a big thing. I mean, I'm on state insurance. I'm bought into the state retirement plan and all those great things as an employee of the university. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really considered that really. The whole goal is just put in my 8 years. Finally get
So
bought
you can get
into
vested.
insurance and yeah, get vested in and then peace out. And
Hmm.
then run this at 45 and continue to grow it until I retire or decide to retire. But if things continue to go well in the next couple of years, at least 5 years, I could see myself leaving maybe a little bit early.
Okay, let's talk about that really quick because I was almost vested at the fire department I was at before I left.
Mm.
I was at 4 years and 9 months, and I needed 5 years to get vested.
Mm.
And I left because I ran the numbers, and the vesting schedule was bullshit, and the amount of money we were going to get from our pension was bullshit.
Yeah.
Dude, we're making $110,000 a year as a top level captain at the fire department. If I had put 30 years in, I was going to retire with about $90,000 to $100,000 a year.
Mm.
After putting in 30 years of work, all they're going to give me is 100 grand a year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, are you fucking serious? If I put $6,000 a year into a Roth IRA, I'll have 3 million bucks.
Hmm.
Like, why would I continue to stick it out with this when I can have the principal plus the interest? I could live off that even more. Like, it's just I could build my own retirement. And that what really turned on a light bulb. And I'm like, oh my God, this pension and salary is just what they're paying me to forget about my dreams and my hopes and my
Yeah.
goals. And the insurance for my family, a family of four, it's about $1,500 a month for the best insurance.
Mm.
And then I got a high deductible health insurance plan and combined that with a health savings account that I invest
Yeah.
in the stock market. And oh, dude, I'm winning.
Okay.
So
That That
Yeah.
that gets the wheels turning. That makes a lot of sense because even with deciding to retire early, I put in and I get vested, but they still take off a percentage based on the years I retire early. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're still getting fucked. So
Yeah. So you could really be waiting around for like years and years, like 3 years, like dragging your feet when in reality, all they're going to give you is like 8 grand a year.
yeah, yeah,
And so I would encourage you to run the numbers because every situation is different. Of course, all the
right.
retirements are different, but definitely run the numbers. Usually it comes down to you need a retirement, you need insurance, health insurance, and you need cash flow. Those are the
Mhm.
three pieces of the puzzle to solve. And once you can solve that and you can solve it with your current business, bounce, dude. Get out of there.
Yeah, yeah. That is something to consider. Just start to put some a little bit more legwork in next year. I think I can make it happen. Like I said, to be
I
able to
think so.
see the interest that I've gotten just with the minimal market and the minimal effort that I'm putting in doing it part time, like it's there. The opportunity is there. I just got to put in the work.
100%. It's really cool, dude. I'm super excited for you, Marvin. You're going to crush it.
Excited too, man. That imposter syndrome it was real initially, but it's slowly starting to go away.
Dude, it will always be there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's good to hear, man. Well,
always. You got any other questions?
not really. I mean, the business plan I'm pretty solid with. I'll sit down, like I said, the next week or so, really hit the, try to get it knocked out the way. Start to come up with what I want next year to look like, and just kind of continue to grind. I got an idea where I want things to go.
Hell yeah. I
So
dig it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Is there, I guess, an opportunity to follow with you later on in the future, maybe in 6 months or so?
Yeah, hit me up, dude. Yeah, reach out. Yeah, anything
Okay.
you need, I'm here. I'm an Instagram message away. That's usually the best way to get a hold of me. Just shoot me a DM and I'll try and get back to you right away. If
Okay.
not, email me. You can reach out anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that works, man. Like, I appreciate your time.
Of course, Marvin, have a wonderful day, my friend.
All right. You too. Enjoy the rest of your night.
See ya.